Population has been a snooze for a long time. You know, it's kind of like you get the impression, oh, didn't we solve that problem? And to some extent, the demographic shifts around the world are largely heading, even though there's still a big pulse of population growth to come, in the direction that looks like what people had anticipated, with a kind of leveling off in mid-century, and no one really knows what happens then. All it takes is a tiny diversion of fertility rates, and you could have things really grow or shrink. But the next few decades, what's become clear to me on population is that it's really a local issue. Back in the 60s, it was the population bomb was this kind of grand threat to resources and hunger threat and that kind of thing. And now when you look around the world, it's, as some demographers have described it to me, there are imploders and exploders. And if you're in a zone where fertility rates are really high, that's a big stress on the environment locally. In many of the areas around the world, particularly toward the tropics, where you have high fertility rates, you also have high exposure to natural hazards, whether it's earthquakes, Sumatra, or heat waves, or extreme drought in parts of Africa, or flooding events. And so you're kind of, if you've got this burst of population growth in the next 30 or 40 years, and a lot of urbanization, again, in areas that are vulnerable to disasters, you're setting up a really bad situation. So, and population was long perceived as mainly an issue in terms of people's resource appetites. More people means more demand for stuff, but in vulnerable places, it actually means a bigger exposure to hazard.